Hey there, curious minds. Today we're tackling a question that's been bugging us since kindergarten. Just how many senses do we humans really have? Spoiler alert, it's a lot more than you think. Ready to have your mind blown? Let's go. Okay, so we've all been taught that humans have five senses: seeing, hearing, touch, smell, and taste. We can thank Aristotle, the original Mr. Know-It-All, who wrote about it in On the Soul a couple of millennia ago. These basic senses are called the exteroceptive senses because they tell us about the world outside. But here's the kicker. There's a whole internal party going on that you're not even aware of. It's a revelation that's sure to pique your interest. Get ready to be amazed. It's not just us challenging the traditional view of human senses. Modern philosophers and neuroscientists are at the forefront of this revolution, suggesting that we might actually have a lot more senses than we previously believed. Isn't that thought-provoking? First up, equilibrioception, a fancy word for balance. If you've ever tried yoga and face-planted, you can blame your equilibrioception, or lack thereof. Then there's proprioception, which is your body's GPS. Ever wonder how you can touch your nose with your eyes closed? That's proprioception at work unless you miss and poke your eye out. And let's not forget chronoception. It's how we sense time passing, a fundamental part of our everyday experiences. Like when you're binge-watching your favorite show and suddenly it's 3 a.m. Time flies when you're having fun. Or procrastinating. It's these little moments that make our senses so fascinating. Deep within us, there are receptors for the beating heart, expanding lungs, and gurgling stomach. This internal sensation of shindig is called interoception. It's like the VIP section of your sensory club, ensuring your comfort and well-being. And it gets more interesting. Your body has receptors for things like temperature. Yep, that's a sense too. Feeling hot or cold isn't just a comfort issue, it's your body's way of saying, hey, put on a jacket. A team of scientists from the California Institute of Technology in Pasadena discovered that the human brain responds to Earth-strength magnetic fields that are relevant to our environment. Biophysical tests indicated that our neural responses are sensitive to both the static components and the polarity of the magnetic field. This means that, like many migrating and homing animals, humans are also sensitive to Earth's magnetic field. Ferromagnetism is still considered a plausible biophysical mechanism for sensory transduction and serves as a starting point for further exploring human magnetoreception behavior. And humans aren't the only ones with cool and exclusive senses. Bees, for example, have iron oxide in their tummies that lets them detect the Earth's magnetic field. They're like tiny buzzing compasses. Move over, Google Maps! Remarkably, honeybees can be trained to associate the magnetic stimulus with a sucrose reward and be conditioned just after 2 days of training. Speaking of eyes, did you know your retinas do double duty? They not only help you see, but also let your brain know if it's day or night. This day-night sense helps regulate your circadian rhythms. So if you're a night owl, you can thank or blame your retinas. Now let's dive deeper. Your senses aren't working alone, they're a team. For example, what you see is linked to your heartbeat. Yep, your brain takes in less visual info when your heart is pumping blood. It seems as if the brain wants to avoid processing information that is synchronized with the body's heartbeat. The researchers did a bunch of experiments with over 150 volunteers. These volunteers had to look at a flashing octagonal shape on a screen. When this shape flashed in sync with their heartbeat, it was harder for them to see it. Scientists conclude that we are not objective and we don't see everything that hits our retina like a video camera does. Who knew your heart was such a diva, right? Although we are mostly unaware of internal bodily processes such as heartbeats, they can affect our perception. Moreover, 2 distinct ways in which the heartbeat modulates conscious perception have been discovered. And get this, your brain is a master chef, whipping up sensations like flavor from taste and smell or wetness from touch and temperature. It's like a sensory smoothie. Now let's talk about the famous sixth sense. No, not seeing dead people, but something more mysterious. Some folks call it the X sense, where X marks the spot of the unknown. It could be a new natural sense, or maybe even some kind of psychic ability. Who needs a crystal ball when you've got a brain, right? In some Indian philosophies, the mind itself is considered a sixth sense. Imagine having a supercomputer in your head coordinating all your other senses. So, our brain is a kind of prediction machine. It guesses what you'll see before you actually see it. using past experiences and current context. So next time you think you have psychic powers, it's just your brain showing off. Even something as simple as feeling your pulse is a brain trick. It combines its predictions with the actual sense data. You're not just sensing with your organs, you're experiencing everything through your brain's filter. Now let's get spooky. Ever heard of people having premonitions? Wall Street executive Barrett Naylor claimed his inner voice saved him, twice. He avoided the World Trade Center during both the 1993 bombing and the 9/11 attacks. Talk about having a guardian angel on speed dial. But you don't need to believe in psychic powers to know our minds are pretty complex. According to Professor Antonio Damasio, our unconscious mind can surprise us with answers when we least expect it. Ever had a eureka moment in the shower? That's your brain doing its thing. In some cultures, people use psychedelics to see beyond the ordinary. Psilocybe mexicana has been used in Mexico for ages to induce visions. LSD, the infamous acid, even inspired the environmental movement of the 60s. Even without substances, people have claimed to see visions throughout history. Take St. Catherine of Siena, who had visions of Christ at age 5. Fast forward to today and we still see visions. UFO sightings, for example, might just be our modern-day angels. Whether they're real or not, who knows? But it sure keeps life interesting. So there you have it, folks. Our senses are way more than the basic 5. Whether it's feeling time fly, balancing on one leg, or having gut feelings save our lives, our minds are full of surprises. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe, and tell us in the comments about any weird senses you've experienced. Until next time, keep sensing the world in all its weird and wonderful ways.